My name's Tessa Morales. I know you said to talk like the recorder isn't here, but that's not how my head works, so I'll just talk like the way I do on night shift. Quietly, like I'm charting something no one will read until they have to. I've been an OR tech for 11 years, 8 of those at Northview. Before anything else, I want to make it clear, I'm not angry at medicine. County hospital 20 minutes away runs clean rooms, tight protocols, and staff who do things right even when it costs them time. I've seen a nurse there track down a missing consent like it was a missing child. I know what good looks like. Northview is not good. The first sign was 3 months in, long enough to stop getting lost, but not long enough to be desensitized. We had a knee scope, easy, routine. Surgeon walked in, glanced at the chart, lifted the drape, and asked, right leg, with zero conviction. The consent form said left. I said so. He'd already swabbed the wrong knee with betadine. A sigh, anesthesia grumbled. They reversed him so we could swap the prep. The surgeon complained about sloppy handwriting. My reward? A write-up for disrupting workflow. County would have given me Employee of the Month. After that, it was like standing knee-deep in rising water. You notice it at your ankles, but by the time it hits your hips, you can't remember what dry ground was like. Little phrases became normal. I'll fix it in the chart. Don't document that. We're behind. Just keep going. It's fine. If something happens, nights will deal with it. One night, a minor thing happened that still wakes me up sometimes. We were transferring a sedated patient from stretcher to OR table. Simple slide, 4-person job. Someone miscommunicated. One nurse lifted too early. The patient rolled toward the edge, just an inch, just a heartbeat. But in that second, I saw her head pitch toward the metal rail. I caught her shoulder just in time. Her hair brushed the floor. An inch. 1 inch between uneventful case and a skull fracture we'd all pretend had an uncertain cause. No one mentioned it afterward, no incident report, not even a thank you. In fact, they all laughed about it in the break room, like a close call in a sports game. That was the moment I realized how easy it is for a place to rot. No big collapses, just a million seconds where someone shrugs instead of cares. You want examples? I can give you a dozen without trying. The low oxygen anesthesia machine that everyone smacked like a vending machine. The sterilizer that failed the spore test twice before anyone even reported it. 2 PACU nurses covering 12 post-ops because ICU was out of beds again. The old woman after a hip fracture who asked the same 3 questions. What time is it? Where's my daughter? Am I dying? Until a nurse joked about putting her on silent mode. I still remember that woman's face, blue gown, silver hair tangled against the pillow, eyes full of confused terror. She died 2 days later. Not because of malpractice, just because she was old and sick. But I wish her last days had been around people who treated her like she mattered. Now the big ones. The first was the wrong procedure. Young woman, 23, appendectomy, scared, apologized every time her monitor beeped like she'd personally inconvenienced the machine. They wheeled her back. The surgeon walked in. Why does the board say cholecystectomy? Gallbladder. Resident said that's what was scheduled. I held the chart. The consent said appendectomy. Her mom had signed it. We were minutes away from cutting the wrong organ out of a healthy girl. That's the wrong procedure, I said. Everything froze, but only for a moment. Then the arguing started. Scheduling error. She said something about pain up here. Just do what's on the board. The charge nurse pulled me aside, annoyed. Stop making this harder, she said. But the surgeon, credit where due, refused to touch her until everything was fixed. The mother cried with relief. I got another write-up. Tone inappropriate. I kept that one. 2 was the generator night. We were mid-bowel resection, middle of the night, rain hitting the tiny OR window like tapping fingers. The lights flickered once, twice, then the whole room exhaled and went black. It's horrifying how loud silence is in an operating room. The emergency power came back on, but late. 11 seconds, I was told. Felt like 11 minutes. Machines rebooted slowly. The anesthesia vent let out a strangled alarm. The only illumination was the green glow of a pulse ox on the patient's finger. I watched the number drop: 92, 85, 70, 58. The anesthesiologist started manually bagging. The surgeon froze with his hands literally inside a human body. Someone whispered, "Not again," but wouldn't explain what that meant. When the power returned, we finished the case. The patient survived surgery, but never woke up. Anoxic brain injury. Admins memo the next morning. Emergency systems functioned as designed. No adverse events. At County, they once closed 2 ORs for a week because a sterilizer smelled off. That's what safety looks like. The last was the quiet woman. I know you want minimal identifiers, so I'll say this. She was small, early 30s, soft voice, kind of person who apologizes when someone else steps on her foot. They got her name wrong at registration. She corrected it twice. They joked like she wouldn't care once she was asleep. She cared. Her chart said that she'd had liquids at 6 a.m. She swore she hadn't. When I mentioned the mismatch, the pre-op nurse shrugged. If the system says it, that's what it is. You know parts of this from her angle. From mine, she went under, draped, gas flowing. Then her heart rate climbed, smooth, steady rises you don't see from dreams. 90, 110, 130. She hit tachycardia. I told them she's tachy. Sympathetic response, anesthesia said. She's not awake. But tears began sliding from under her eyelids. Her eyes, I said. Corneal reflex, they said. Someone said correct the paperwork after. She was seen, but not recognized. I remember wiping away a tear. I leaned down so no one else would see or hear, and I told her I'm sorry. That was all I could give her. A whisper in a room full of people pretending she wasn't there. And still, this isn't even the worst thing I saw at Northview. You asked why I didn't leave? I tried. County turned me down for a posting because they chose someone with 10 more years experience. Fair enough, but also I needed the insurance and the salary, and I didn't want to believe things were as bad as they felt. Part of me thought if I leave, who actually cares who's left? That's how places like this trap you, not with chains, just with guilt. My breaking point wasn't the big events. It was a moment so small you'd probably miss it. We had a septic man in his 50s, crashing hard, needed an emergent case. ED was overwhelmed, labs missing, short-staffed everywhere, chaos, like always. We got him on the table, everyone scrambling. Then the OR manager walked in, not to help, not to relay information, but to say, make sure this doesn't delay tomorrow's on-time starts. Administration is watching. A dying man on the table, and she was thinking about morning metrics. Something in me snapped, quietly, permanently. I finished my shift, went home, sat in my scrubs, staring at the wall, and then I opened my laptop. I sent everything to the state health department, incident dates, missing reports, memos, equipment logs, screenshots, my notes, all of it. I emailed a reporter anonymously, told them, if you're still following Northview, you haven't seen the worst of it. They wrote back a week later. During our call, I broke once, only once, when I described the generator night. I kept seeing his fingertips. I still see them, the way they went pale. The reporter was quiet for a long time. You know this could cost you your job, they finally said. I know, I said. Staying has been costing these patients more. I don't know how this ends for me. Maybe I get fired, blacklisted. Maybe County will take me in sterile processing and I'll be grateful just to be somewhere clean. But I know this much. I'm tired of uneventful being a lie we slap on charts to make ourselves feel less culpable. For 8 years, I stayed quiet in rooms where the patients didn't have that choice. The least I can do now is say it out loud. Will I still remember every second they couldn't?